What's going on, guys? It's Greg from East Coast Eyes, and today we have a review of the all-new Brine Clutch IV. So the Brine Clutch has been like the staple of the Brine series ever since I was very young. They've had it around, and this is the Clutch IV. That doesn't necessarily mean that this is the fourth clutch. There's been a lot in between that didn't fall under a number, but this is the latest and greatest in the Brine Clutch line. So they haven't released a price yet. It's not available for sale yet, but it'll probably be somewhere in the $100 range. That's what the Clutch 3 is selling for right now, so somewhere right around $99, just like most other high-end heads. It's going to come in an X spec and a high school spec. Here we have the high school spec. It'll also come in black, red, royal, gray, and white. For the weight on this head, we weighed it in at 5.2 ounces, which is a little bit heavier, but they definitely made it a lot stiffer. By comparison, the last clutch was the Brine Clutch Elite, and that thing was all the way down to 4.1 ounces, easily one of the lightest heads available. So for this one, I think they decided it was better to have a little bit more stiffness, up the weight a little bit, and up at 5.2. To give you some frame of reference, like the Optic and the Centric are both down in the mid-4s. The SDX Surgeon 500 is at 5.1, so it's on the heavier end of a lot of heads these days, but it's also on the stiffer end. Alright, so let's start with the changes in look for the Brine Clutch IV. So you're going to see that it has sort of the same styling points. It has the same offset, they're true offset technology, so a dip right at the beginning, right by the throat, about an inch up, and then stays straight for the rest of the way and returns a little bit at the very end. It has the classic Brine Clutch styling with the same sidewall pattern. They've straightened it out a little bit and given it a little bit more of a futuristic look. You can see that here they're a little bit more swoopy and wavy, and they've moved into just more straight lines, really clean and simple, and I really like that improvement. They have a new design on the top, which is pretty much just texture. Has some indents that grow shallower and a little bit smaller as you go up the head with a texture inside of them. One of the bigger technologies recently in the clutch has been the Core-Tec technology, which is where they take away material from the inside of the head that makes it lighter, but creates a structure where it's not getting a lot weaker with that lightness. So they've improved that, where now it's just dimples in here. So as it used to be in the Clutch Elite, they carved out almost all of the inside of the sidewall. Now they just have smaller dimples, it's more focused. They carved out less material. One thing it really did to the Clutch Elite is it did make it light, but it made it very, very flexible, and you can actually crush the entire sidewall just with your hands. So with this, they have a slightly heavier head, less material dug out, but way stiffer on the pushing and pulling. And for me, I personally really love a stiffer offensive head, and definitely not this flexible. So that's an improvement we really love to see. Other than that, more texture styling up on the top, on the outside of the sidewalls, inside of the sidewalls, nothing too crazy there, just a little extra styling. Another big technology they've added to this, it's never been in one of their heads or a previous clutch model, is their VeriFlex technology. So you can see down here in this gray plastic, it says VeriFlex on it. And that's actually a second injection molded plastic that is co-molded into the head, into the middle. So you can see down here, these sidewall holes are that same color gray, and you can see it comes through up at the top here. So actually inside the structure of the head is this harder, stiffer, more temperature resistant plastic that comes up through the throat. That's going to get it's going to maintain its stiffness a lot better through hot and cold temperatures, and it's going to help this area of the throat stay a lot stiffer and not get more flexible and retain its shape for longer. Now we're going to string it up. The Clutch has always been one of my favorite heads to string, so I'm really pumped to see how this one strings up. So I've always loved stringing the Brine Clutch series, and this one was no different. The face shape, scoop, sidewall hole placement is pretty much all the same as its predecessor, so it's strung up almost exactly the same. It has a ton of sidewall holes, evenly spaced top string holes, which are spaced really well, and the high pinch and flare of the throat lends itself really well to a mid-high pocket, which is something I've used a lot in the past. So strung up with all white Hero strings, Hero mesh pocket, with mid to mid-high. It'll shift up a little bit under those shooters. Kept the shooting string simple with one nylon and one straight, and overall this thing was really easy to string. Sidewall placement was great, and again with that pinch and flare, you should be able to string almost any kind of pocket you want to, while still maintaining a nice tight channel for consistency and extra hold. So breeze to string, really loved it, and always been one of my favorite heads to string. So overall, we really love the Clutch IV. I've always loved the Clutch series, but the last one was way too flimsy for my liking. For me, I would always trade a little bit more weight for a little bit extra stiffness and longevity, knowing that it's going to last with its shape much longer. I think that the VeriFlex technology is really nice and definitely helps keep the throat rigid, and we'll be testing this through the winter to see how it holds up in colder temperatures. and overall nice design features, subtle changes that all rounded out to make a really great head. So make sure to let me know what you guys think of the Clutch 4 down in the comments. Make sure to like if you liked it, subscribe if you haven't, and have a great day.